In the early hours of July 24, 1944, Soviet forces stumbled upon Majdanek concentration camp located near Lublin, Poland. The discovery was nothing short of horrifying. Majdanek became the first major Nazi extermination camp to be liberated, and for the first time, the world began to grasp the full scale of the atrocities committed by the Nazi regime. The Soviet soldiers found gas chambers, crematoria, and warehouses full of personal belongings stolen from the victims, heartbreaking remnants of lives lost. The camp was a grim testament to the inhumanity that had unfolded there, and it shocked even the most battle-hardened soldiers. Majdanek's liberation exposed the Holocaust to the global public. Journalists were invited to inspect the camp and report on the horrors they witnessed. Later, as Allied troops advanced across Europe, they uncovered more concentration camps and extermination sites. Among them was Auschwitz-Birkenau, the largest Nazi extermination camp, liberated on January 27, 1945. It was estimated that over 1.3 million people were sent to Auschwitz between 1940 and 1945, and at least 1.1 million were systematically murdered. Behind the operation of these death camps were individuals like Erich Muhsfeldt, a man whose capacity for cruelty was seemingly limitless. Erich Muhsfeldt was born on February 18, 1913, in Neubrück, Germany. He came from a modest background, completing 8 years of elementary school before training as a baker. His early life was unremarkable. But everything changed in 1933 when Adolf Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Like many Germans, Muhsfeldt was swept up in the tide of Nazi ideology, joining the SA, stormtroopers, that same year. By 1937, he had transferred to the SS, a more elite paramilitary organization, and became a member of the Nazi Party. In 1940, Muhsfeldt joined the SS Death's Head units, which were responsible for running the Nazi concentration and extermination camps. These units were infamous for their cruelty, trained to treat prisoners as subhuman enemies of the state. Muhsfeldt's career quickly ascended within this system, and by August 1940, he was stationed at Auschwitz as a block leader. There, he supervised prisoner labor and punishment, solidifying his reputation as a ruthless enforcer. However, his most notorious actions would come after his transfer to Majdanek in 1941. Majdanek was one of the most brutal concentration camps of the Holocaust. Initially established as a labor camp, it soon became a major site for mass executions. Muhsfeldt was placed in charge of the crematorium and a special commando unit responsible for burning the bodies of murdered prisoners. His duties placed him at the heart of the Nazi killing machine, and witnesses described him as a sadistic overseer who took pleasure in inflicting pain. One of the most chilling aspects of Majdanek was its use of Zyklon B gas for mass executions. Muhsfeldt was instrumental in operating the gas chambers and disposing of the bodies. Survivors recounted how he often threatened prisoners with statements like, "I'm going to burn you alive." On one occasion, a young Polish woman resisted being sent to the gas chamber, scratching Muhsfeldt in a desperate bid to escape. Enraged, he tied her to a trolley used for loading bodies into the crematorium and pushed her into the flames while she was still alive. This level of brutality became a hallmark of Muhsfeldt's tenure at the camp. One of the darkest chapters in Majdanek's history was Operation Harvest Festival in November 1943. Following several uprisings by Jewish prisoners in other camps, Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS, ordered the mass execution of Jewish laborers. At Majdanek, over 18,000 Jews were murdered in a single day, forced to strip naked and lie in trenches before being shot. Music blared from loudspeakers to mask the sounds of gunfire. Muhsfeldt played a direct role in organizing this massacre, ensuring that the trenches were filled with bodies and that no survivors were left. Over the course of 2 days, approximately 43,000 Jews were killed across Majdanek and nearby camps. The event became the single largest massacre of Jews carried out by the Nazis during the Holocaust. Muhsfeldt's role in these killings cemented his reputation as one of the most sadistic figures in the camp system. In May 1944, Muhsfeldt was reassigned to Auschwitz-Birkenau, where he oversaw the crematoria during the liquidation of Hungary's Jewish population. Between May and July 1944, nearly 440,000 Hungarian Jews were deported to Auschwitz, many of whom were immediately sent to the gas chambers. Muhsfeldt's commandos worked tirelessly to dispose of the bodies, often resorting to burning corpses in open pits when the crematoria couldn't keep up with the sheer number of victims. Survivors and witnesses described Muhsfeldt's sadism in grim detail. He would beat prisoners to death with rods, push the living into flames, and throw children into gas chambers with his own hands. Miklos Naizli, a Jewish doctor forced to work at Auschwitz, recalled how Muhsfeldt once shot 80 prisoners in a single day and then casually complained about his high blood pressure, not from guilt, but from excessive drinking. As the Third Reich crumbled, Muhsfeldt was sent to Flossenbürg concentration camp in early 1945. There he participated in the infamous death marches, during which prisoners too weak to walk were executed on the spot. Even as the war ended, Muhsfeldt continued his reign of terror, killing dozens more prisoners before being captured by Allied forces. In 1947, Muhsfeldt faced justice for his crimes. Initially sentenced to life imprisonment by a U.S. military court, he was extradited to Poland to stand trial at the Auschwitz trials later that year. Witnesses testified to his unspeakable acts of cruelty, and the court found him guilty of crimes against humanity. On January 24, 1948, at the age of 34, Muhsfeldt was executed by hanging at Montelupich prison in Krakow. In a symbolic act of justice, his body was donated to medical students for study, a fate that denied him the dignity he had so callously stripped from his victims. What do you think about the punishment Muhsfeldt received? Was it enough to account for his crimes? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from history. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.